Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with Jay Unboxing here, giving you a personal prediction for Kiko Martinez versus Josh Warrington 2. And as always, this is just my personal take. Of course, yours can be left down in the comments section below. Would like to hear all bets, all picks that you guys have. Love to hear all of them. A little bit of fight info here. We have Martinez, the champion, taking on Warrington, a former world champion, at the First Direct Arena in Leeds, England. The channel will be, of course, DAZN, I believe, on both sides of the pond, and the division, of course, is the featherweight division with the IBF version of the title on the line. And this is a very interesting fight. It's a unique fight, to say the very least. It's a rematch of their 2017 clash, which saw Warrington narrowly escape with a win. Since then, Martinez looked near retirement, and Warrington went on to become one of, if not the best featherweight in the world, and then was knocked out by a relative unknown in Mauricio Lara. Strangely enough, the title Warrington gave up before taking on Lara to eventually take on Zukan was eventually won by Kid Galahad, and then Martinez, who knocked him out. Now, Warrington has a chance to win it back. However, this time, Martinez is the one riding high, and Warrington hasn't won a fight since 2019. Boxing is a weird sport. Anyway, without much more ado and rambling on, you've kind of had the backstory there, so let's break this one down. So for Martinez to win, I think he needs to test Warrington's mentality early. Again, as I mentioned there in that opening portion, Warrington hasn't really looked good since 2019. Since then, he was knocked out by Mauricio Lara, and not just in a sort of brief moment. He was beat down the entire fight, and then in the return to try and set the record straight, a clash of heads ultimately stopped that fight before it really got going, but it didn't look great for Warrington in those beginning stages. What Martinez needs to do is test whether or not Warrington has mentally gotten over that. I would say it's going to be tough for him to do so, and Martinez needs to press the action and try to land some big shots early and often to kind of get Warrington in the mentality of, is this happening again? Whether or not that's going to work is kind of, to be seen, but I think the best shot that Martinez has in this fight is really reminding Warrington of a lot of those kind of nightmares he's recently had. Do it early, do it often, and I think you'll have a better chance for success. Now, the next thing I would say is be watchful of the right hand. That's a shot that, in their first encounter, Warrington had good success with. He would come around the guard with it, he would go to the body with it. And especially as an older fighter, as Martinez is here, you just don't want to be getting hit to the breadbasket too often with shots that your opponent will rip to your torso. And Warrington, while not a huge puncher, will put as much steam as he can into his shots. That's what Martinez is going to look to want to avoid. Now, again, he's going to want to do this, of course, to the body, because upstairs those right hands will come too if he's letting him hit him too far to the body. It's just going to, one of those chain reactions. You hit him to the body, the guard lowers, now up top is available. Martinez is going to want to look to avoid that to make sure he, of course, is taking away one of Warrington's biggest and best weapons. And what I would say for Martinez in terms of his best weapon is set up that overhand right. It's the shot that's going to win you most of your titles. It's the shot that's going to put most people down. And I think it's a shot that he can land pretty successfully on Warrington. He did, again, do so in their first encounter. If he's able to press him, push him back, try to get Warrington trying to move away from him, that overhand right can really land pretty powerfully and give him some good results. Warrington has a slight reach advantage by, I believe, about an inch in this fight. It's not as though that's going to be a huge distance to overcome, but the overhand right allows for it a lot better to, kind of fill that space because you can step into it a lot more as your opponent's stepping back. And as a result of that, it has a better chance of connecting more consistently and then setting up a lot of the other work that you're looking to do in this fight. Now, for Warrington to win, I think he needs to be first with the jab. He really needs to tame Martinez, especially early on. He needs to build his confidence within this fight. Again, he really hasn't had a fight where he's done so often or recently at all, and this is going to need to be something of that moment for him right here, right now against Martinez. That jab can really help along those lines. He's going to be able to tame Martinez, kind of control the action, the distance of the fight, and the pace of the fight, and then set up his own work, of course. If he can double that jab, the better, but he just wants to make sure that he's utilizing the jab consistently, early and often, and setting up his work while also trying to mitigate a lot of the work that Martinez is looking to accomplish. I would also say dig the right hand to the body. As I mentioned with Martinez, that's going to be a shot he's looking to avoid, and it's because it's a good shot for Warrington. Naturally, Warrington's going to want to look to land that shot. He has a very good right hand that he can rip to the body, and again, against an older fighter like Martinez, it's going to slow him down, it's going to lower his guard, it's going to have to, of course, make him think twice about throwing because you naturally leave your body open when you do throw, and it just gives Warrington a lot of benefits in this fight. Press the action, throw to the body, and again, once that happens, it sets up those jabs, it sets up everything else he's looking to do, and could potentially lead to him having some decent success on the night. And finally, don't let him back you up. Again, especially early on, I believe this is important because I have to think that Martinez is going to look to test him early and often, especially to the chin. And you just don't want to be backing up, and certainly not in straight lines where he can throw that overhand right over the top and try to connect with that chin that he might think has been cracked by Mauricio Lara. Instead, you're going to want to keep that guard high. You're going to want to have to press him, hold him, clinch with him. Do what you have to do at times, even if it requires a warning or two. You just don't want to fall into this trap of backing up and getting caught with shots you don't need to be caught with. You want to make sure that you're pressing the action forward as opposed to backwards. Because again, Martinez in their first encounter had his best success when he was on the front foot. So naturally, take that away from him. Now, I'm not confident about this pick, but I must say that I do get the feeling Martinez is going to pull this upset off. Warrington was badly beat in the first Lara fight. He didn't look much better in the return, as I mentioned. Maybe he could have grown into that fight if the headbutt hadn't occurred, but it did, and he still looked shaky. Without the confidence needed to fight his fight, I think Martinez will push forward and take the fight out of him. Big right hands and shots to the body will ultimately wilt Warrington in those middle frames. If it's a decision, I doubt Martinez gets the nod even if deserved. However, I'm banking on him having enough to wear Warrington down and stop him late. Martinez via late fight stoppage. Now, the betting odds for this fight are pretty wide, actually. You have Warrington at a minus 450, with Martinez coming in at a huge underdog, relatively speaking, as the champion, at a plus 300. I think these are pretty tantalizing odds for me personally. I'm not saying, again, that I'm 100% confident either way. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, this is a very interesting fight for a lot of those interesting dynamics that I mentioned. It's difficult to be able to assess which of those things is going to happen. In other words, is Warrington going to be the damaged goods fighters that he looked to or appeared to be? Or was Martinez old and getting old this whole time and just happened to catch Galahad with a really good shot, and that was his last big hurrah at the top of the sport? You just don't know. That being said, with those odds, if you truly, as I do, believe Martinez has a good shot in here, I think those are odds worth taking advantage of. Again, I'm not saying a huge bet, but it's certainly something in the small to mid range that I'd be looking to lay, because I do think there's a solid chance he can pull this one off. Again, whether he does is yet to be seen. I'm sure he'll get knocked out in the first round because I just jinxed him, but I do think it's a decent bit of odds that you might want to look into. In any event, my prediction record heading into the weekend is 10-2-0 with 2 exact. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Would love to hear your thoughts, predictions, bets, so on and so forth. What do you think of Warrington's chances and Martinez's chances, of course, here? Do you think one's damaged goods, one's already too faded? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section below. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at jcalderon_JOB. And you can email me at jonboxing@gmail.com. Would love to hear from you there. Also, be sure to check out jonboxing.com for schedule, results, betting odds, rankings, and more. And, of course, be sure to check out my recent piece I did on fighter grades for this previous weekend, and, of course, look forward to this weekend's as well. We'll also be dropping a couple other predictions. You can check those out later this week. And, as always, until next time.